Throughout this month, I've been playing a game. A very cozy game. A genre that I've played before, but not something that I seek out often. But it did have its charms that made me want to pick it up. It was a spin-off in a long-running series that I enjoy and love a lot, combined lots of different ideas into one game, which was unheard of for the series, and it scored very high in review scores relative to what this game series has been doing in the past decade. In fact, it's the highest rated in the entire series, and the game in question is Pokemon Pokopia. Pokopia? I'm not sure what's the right pronunciation. Anyways, yeah, I've been playing a lot of Pokopia this past month. It's been a great way to relax and also get my Pokemon fix, which I've been missing for a while. So after quite a bit playing the game, I thought to myself, you know what? Let's make a video reviewing the game. So I opened up a Word file and I generally could not find the right way to start writing about it. No matter what approach I wanted to take in terms of writing it, it just didn't feel right. I just can't review it. Pokopia is now being added to a list of games that I struggle to write a review on. Games like Outer Wilds, The Last of Us 2, and Sonic Unleashed. All these games are simply unreviewable because I can't find a right way to do those games justice in a review format. Pokopia, though, I can say is far from my favorite games of all time, but it does hit a special spot that just renders me unable to write something profound about it, despite that special nature. Hence, why it is an unreviewable game for me for the time being. Apart from personal reasons that any individual can have towards a certain game, there are a wide range of reasons that make a game unreviewable. Maybe the game constantly gets updated, the game has changed since its original build upon the time of review, or the review simply cannot be summarized on a normal review scale. So that's what I'll be talking about in today's video, the many reasons that make a game unreviewable, and the problems with reviewing games in general. So we can start with Highguard, one of the most talked about or least talked about games. I honestly don't know which way the pendulum swings with that one. Highguard was a first-person multiplayer hero shooter that got announced as the final announcement during 2025's The Game Awards. The discussion after its reveal wasn't exactly positive. People already called it generic looking, and having another live service game be the final reveal instead of a big single player game did rub a lot of people the wrong way. A bit of radio silence for a bit, with Jeff Keighley being the main source of marketing for the game released on January 26 of 2026, and I don't know when reviews started coming in for the game, but as of right now, the game sits in the 60 range score on review aggregator sites. There is one glaring issue with this review score now though. It's just not accurate anymore, and I already mentioned why earlier. Highguard was a first-person multiplayer hero shooter. It was, because as of March 12th, the game went offline forever. For now, the score stands as a testament to its quality at launch, but can a game with a 6 out of 10, not a bad score by the way, still stand for a game that you can't play anymore? Honestly, I don't think so. There are many examples of games that have scores like this: Concord, Babylon's Fall, Rumbleverse, and more live service games that got reviewed at some point, but just can't be played anymore. I know it's a weird example to start off with, but it does lay the groundwork for the other side of this coin. Reviews that are not indicative of the current state of the game, for better or worse. Let's just list off the holy trinity of games whose original review scores don't represent the game's current state: No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk 2077, and Final Fantasy XIV. No Man's Sky, released back in 2016, was one of the most hyped up games of all time. And I know, because even if I was young during the marketing cycle, it was one of the reasons why I wanted the PS4 at the time. On release, it averaged out in the 70 range. 7 out of 10, again, not a bad score, but it did score lower than its marketed potential surrounding it, leaving a very bad impression. 36% of reviewers recommend the game on OpenCritic despite the score. With scores and opinions like this, how do you think this game's legacy ended up? I let its numerous nominations and awards in the years following its release do the talking. No Man's Sky pulled off an incredible comeback, making its original reviews, well, not representative of its current state, and the same goes for both Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy XIV. Both of these got the benefit of having massive expansions released later on that severely outperformed the original review scores, because at the time, both these games were unoptimized, buggy, and unengaging, yet over time, fixes were made to them, drastic gameplay additions, and the end result? Hovering around the 9 out of 10 game score. Great comebacks across the board. However, I am not criticizing the original reviews of the game. These three games received their original scores for valid reasons. They failed to deliver on promises during their marketing cycle, were poorly optimized, and just not good. They were valid in the fact that it warned consumers and potential buyers about the problems that were present in the game at the time, but as time passes with a lack of re-reviews on aggregator sites, those original reviews are a fragment of a time long gone. But as all reviews are, unless the game is just straight up broken or poorly optimized, subjective opinions. So what does that mean? Well, ultimately, any and all reviews should not be taken as fact. Let's take a quick look at OpenCritic's top 20 rated games. Out of the games here that I've played, I would honestly rank the list a lot differently, purely based on my taste in these games. All these games, though, have received universal acclaim for good reason, because they're just very good games in their respective genres, and also evoked or mastered the elements therein. So let's go to the next page and... oh. Well, let's talk about this one, as tough as it is. The Last of Us Part 2 has received universal critical acclaim, won multiple Game of the Year awards, and sold 10 million copies as of 2022. Yet, if you are to browse the internet for opinions, you will find a wide range of polarizing opinions. The Last of Us 2 took big swings with its narrative, and you either liked the game or didn't. Me personally, I loved The Last of Us Part 2. It was not my Game of the Year back in 2020 as Hades released that year, but I still found it to be an exceptional game. Yet, if you ask a lot of other people, you'll get some very contrasting opinions. And that's always going to be a problem with reviews, is that there will always be subjectivity to it. But at the same time, that's not a bad thing. For one, it can give you a different point of view or open your mind to a game you wouldn't give the time of day for. I love watching reviews and retrospectives on games that fall outside my comfort zone, whether they are positive or negative, as there might always be something that catches my eye in any review. Watching Deathloop reviews made me pick up Dishonored and Prey, Stray reviews made me pick up Stray, which I ended up not liking, and more. But this leads into another problem, and that's the Game of the Year discourse. I love watching the Game Awards and thinking about what games have a good shot at making the final set of nominations for the Game of the Year award, but there again lies the review problem, as for the most part, the main deciding factor in snagging a Game of the Year nomination is the review score. For the most part, a game is going to need close to a 90 score on Metacritic to get a nomination, and in tougher years, more. This leads to a problem, as it can happen that some people will dismiss a game entirely if review scores aren't entirely Game of the Year worthy. I just realized that I do not have evidence for this. It's just that whenever I browse the internet, I see more people talking about the Game of the Year nominees instead of a lot of other games that don't get the light of day. Am I a part of the problem when I make YouTube videos about games? Yes, probably. And speaking of my reviews on games, let's bring this all back full circle to my struggle at reviewing some games. Why that happens to others and why it's ultimately okay. Not everything needs a label or score on it because, and this is going to be a big send-off point to the entire video, what matters is how you feel towards a game. And feelings, that's just something you can't really quantify in any manner. Yes, you could feel happier or just as sad and somewhere in between, but is there any real metric to grade those feelings? Okay, you can grade happiness and such, but it all comes down to you. I might be repeating points from my last video, but take Super Mario Bros. Wonder. At the moment its theme played at the Game of the Year Orchestra in 2023. It stirred up emotions in me of joy, whimsy, nostalgia, and I will recommend it to anyone. But the reason why it created that reaction for me was because of my past and appreciation for Nintendo games during my childhood, and seeing a Mario game that I adored getting an incredible orchestration hit something special within me. I can make comments on what makes the game good, trying to do so from a neutral perspective, but no matter what, my own personal bias will bleed into that review. But then to catapult that even further, if something's really special, it shouldn't be something you should be able to share with others. Well, you can. You can recommend that special something or talk about it with someone, not just talking about games right now, but for a lot of things. It can be discussed, described, but no amount of words will be able to replicate that feeling that you have towards the moment, object, or experience in question. One of the most special games for me is Sonic Unleashed. It's my childhood game. I remember asking my parents to buy it for me as a kid at the game store, and then looking kinda weird at the cover since Sonic looked, well, different. But they got it for me, and this is many years ago that we're talking now, and I haven't played Sonic Unleashed since I beat it all those years ago. Yet, whenever I listen to its soundtrack, watch gameplay videos of it, or just think about the Blue Blur's world adventure, I have lots of stuff that I can say about what makes the game so great, yet so flawed at the same time, but I can't put into words why it means so much to me. I can tell you how beautiful of a piece Cool Edge Day is, how stunning Dragon Road is, how incredible of a cutscene the opening is that perfectly encapsulates Sonic the Hedgehog, or why Rooftop Run is the greatest level in gaming history, but those are just words with my input, and it only gives you a brief glimpse into how I felt when playing. So, how will I end this video? Go ahead and watch video game reviews, but always keep in mind the time the review was made and think about how much could have possibly changed since it released, both in terms of how the game is playable now or how the gaming landscape has changed since it released. And as you watch those reviews, don't try to focus on the score as hard as that may be, because it sure is for me, but instead just listen out for those small moments of personal bias that every review is blessed with. A small moment that could make the game worth it to you or could lead you into a deeper rabbit hole, into an experience you may have never even thought of. And yes, Rooftop Run really is gaming's greatest level of all time, and that will be all from me. Have a good rest of your day, night, and week. Thanks for watching the video, and with that, Storm out.